The Three Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf. Once upon a time, in a land of rolling meadows and shady forests, there lived 3 little pigs. They were brothers, and though they loved each other dearly, they were very different in nature. One day, their mother said, "My dear piglets, you have grown so big. It is time for you to go into the world and build homes of your own. But be wise, my children. The world is full of dangers, and you must build strong houses to keep safe." With hugs and snorts of farewell, the 3 little pigs set off on their journey to build their own homes. The first little pig was a carefree and lazy fellow. He loved to play and dance, and
"I'll make my house out of straw,"
he said happily. "It's light, it's easy, and I'll be done before noon." He gathered golden bundles of straw and tied them together. In no time, he had built a small but cozy house with a straw roof and a little round door.
Now I can relax and enjoy the sunshine,"
he said, stretching out in front of his new home. But as the sun began to set, a shadow moved through the forest. The big bad wolf had caught the scent of a little pig and was hungry for his supper. He came to the house and knocked on the door.
Little pig, let me come in,"
the wolf called. But the first little pig was clever enough to know better.
"Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin,"
he squealed. The wolf narrowed his eyes and growled.
"Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in."
And with a mighty breath, the wolf huffed and puffed, and the straw house flew apart like autumn leaves. The first little pig squealed in terror and ran as fast as his little hooves could carry him straight to his brother's house. The second little pig was a little wiser, but still not as cautious as he should have been. He believed in working a little harder, but he still didn't want to waste all his time building.
"I'll make my house out of sticks,"
he decided. Stronger than straw, but still easy to build. He gathered long, strong sticks and tied them together with vines. He built a small, sturdy hut with a wooden door and a chimney, feeling quite pleased with himself. Just as he finished, his brother came running toward him, panting and frightened.
"Brother, the wolf is coming. He blew my house down."
The second little pig quickly let him in and locked the wooden door. But soon enough, the big bad wolf arrived at the stick house. He knocked on the door and growled,
Little pigs, let me come in."
The 2 pigs huddled together and shouted.
"Not by the hair on our chinny chin chins."
The wolf sneered.
"Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in."
And with a mighty breath, the wolf huffed and puffed, and the stick house creaked, cracked, and came crashing down. The 2 little pigs squealed in terror and ran as fast as they could, straight to their eldest brother's house. The third little pig was wise and hardworking. He knew that danger was always near, and he wanted to build a house that was strong and safe. "I will build my house out of bricks," he declared. "It will take longer, but it will be worth it." Day after day, he laid bricks one by one and covered them with strong mortar. He built thick walls, a solid wooden door, and strong glass windows. He even built a fireplace with a sturdy chimney. Just as he was putting the finishing touches on his home, his 2 brothers came running toward him, breathless and terrified.
Brother, the wolf is coming. He blew down our houses."
The wise pig quickly let them in and locked the door. Soon, the big bad wolf arrived at the brick house. He knocked and growled.
Little pigs, let me come in."
The 3 pigs stood firm and shouted back.
"Not by the hair on our chinny chin chins."
The wolf bared his sharp teeth and snarled.
"Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in."
He huffed and puffed, but the brick house stood strong. He tried again, huff, puff, but the house didn't even budge. The wolf was furious. He paced around the house, thinking of a new plan. Then he spotted the chimney.
"Aha! If I can't get through the door, I'll climb down the chimney and catch those pigs myself,"
he said. But the third little pig was clever. He quickly lit a roaring fire in the fireplace and put a big pot of boiling water on top. The wolf climbed up to the roof and squeezed into the chimney, licking his lips. But as soon as he slid down, splash, he landed right in the boiling pot.
Oh,
He howled, jumping straight out of the chimney and running away into the forest, never to be seen again. The 3 little pigs cheered and danced, knowing they were safe. The first 2 pigs learned their lesson about hard work and responsibility. Together, the 3 brothers built 2 more brick houses, and from that day on, they lived happily and safely, never afraid of the wolf again. And as for the big bad wolf, well, he never tried to huff and puff again. The end.
Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. Once upon a time, in a cozy little cottage deep in the forest, there lived 3 bears.
Papa Bear,
who was big and strong.
Mama Bear,
who was gentle and kind, and
Baby Bear,
who was small and playful. One morning, the 3 bears made a pot of delicious porridge for breakfast, but it was too hot to eat. So, they decided to go for a walk in the woods while it cooled down. While they were gone, a little girl named Goldilocks was walking through the forest. She saw the bear's cottage and, feeling curious, she knocked on the door. When no one answered, she pushed it open and stepped inside. On the table, Goldilocks saw 3 bowls of porridge. She was very hungry, so she decided to taste them. She tried Papa Bear's porridge.
Ouch! This is too hot,
she cried. She tried Mama Bear's porridge.
Oh no! This is too cold,
she frowned. She tried Baby Bear's porridge.
This is just right,
she said happily and ate it all up. Goldilocks then saw 3 chairs by the fireplace. She wanted to sit down. She sat in Papa Bear's chair.
This is too big,
she said. She sat in Mama Bear's chair.
This is too soft,
she sighed. She sat in Baby Bear's chair.
This is just right,
she smiled. But just as she got comfortable, crack! The chair broke.
Oh no!
Goldilocks gasped. Feeling sleepy, Goldilocks went upstairs and found 3 beds. She lay in Papa Bear's bed.
This is too hard,
she grumbled. She lay in Mama Bear's bed.
This is too soft,
she mumbled. She lay in Baby Bear's bed.
This is just right.
She yawned and fell fast asleep. A little while later, the 3 bears returned home. Papa Bear looked at his bowl and growled.
Someone's been eating my porridge.
Mama Bear looked at her bowl and said,
Someone's been eating my porridge.
Baby Bear looked at his empty bowl and cried,
Someone's eaten my porridge, all gone.
Then they saw their chairs. Papa Bear growled,
Someone's been sitting in my chair.
Mama Bear said,
Someone's been sitting in my chair.
Baby Bear cried,
Someone sat in my chair and broke it.
Finally, they went upstairs. Papa Bear saw his bed and said,
Someone's been sleeping in my bed.
Mama Bear saw her bed and said,
Someone's been sleeping in my bed.
Baby Bear saw his bed and shouted,
Someone's still in my bed.
Goldilocks woke up and saw the 3 bears staring at her. She screamed, jumped out of bed, and ran down the stairs as fast as she could. She ran out the door, into the forest, and never returned to the bear's house again. And from that day on, the 3 bears always locked their door before going for a walk. The end.
The Ugly Duckling. Once upon a time, in the heart of the countryside, a mother duck sat on her nest, waiting for her eggs to hatch. One by one, the eggs cracked open, and out came 5 fluffy, yellow ducklings, chirping and wobbling about. But the largest egg, the one she had been sitting on the longest, still had not hatched. Finally, with a loud crack, the last egg broke open. But instead of a small, yellow duckling, out came a large, gray, and awkward-looking bird. His feathers were dull, his legs were too long, and he looked nothing like the others. Oh dear, thought the mother duck. Could this be a turkey? He doesn't look like my other ducklings. But when she led them all to the pond, the strange duckling swam as well as the others. "Well, he must be one of mine after all," she sighed. From the very beginning, the other ducklings teased him. "You're so ugly," they quacked. "Look at your big feet and long neck." Even the barnyard animals laughed at him. The chickens pecked at him, the geese honked rudely, and even the old cat glared at him in disgust. The poor duckling felt miserable. No one wanted to play with him, and wherever he went, he was bullied and pushed away. One day, he couldn't take it anymore. He ran away, flapping his small wings as fast as he could. The ugly duckling wandered through the countryside, looking for a place where he belonged. He found a wild marsh where some geese lived. But just as he thought he might be welcome, a hunter and his dog appeared. Bang! The hunter's gun went off, and the geese scattered. Terrified, the ugly duckling ran away again. He wandered through fields and forests, growing colder and hungrier with each passing day. Winter arrived, and the world turned icy and white. The poor duckling had nowhere to go. He found a little shelter near a frozen pond, but he was so cold and weak that he nearly froze to death. A kind farmer found him shivering in the snow and took him home. The farmer's children wanted to play with him, but the duckling was too scared and ran away again. After a long, harsh winter, the snow began to melt, and spring finally arrived. One day, the duckling stumbled upon a beautiful lake, where he saw a group of majestic white birds gliding across the water. Their long necks curved gracefully, and their feathers shone like snow. The ugly duckling had never seen such beautiful birds before. "I wish I could be as lovely as they are," he sighed. But he knew they would never accept someone as ugly as him. Feeling hopeless, he bent his head to look at his reflection in the water. But what he saw made him gasp in surprise. Instead of a clumsy, gray duckling, he saw a beautiful white swan staring back at him. He spread his wings, and they were strong and elegant. He was no longer small and awkward. He had grown into a magnificent swan. The other swans swam up to him and welcomed him as one of their own. "You are one of us now," they said kindly. For the first time in his life, the ugly duckling felt happy and accepted. As he glided across the lake, children pointed and admired his beauty. "Look, the most beautiful swan of all," they exclaimed. He had finally found where he belonged. And so, the ugly duckling was ugly no more. He was the most beautiful swan on the lake, and he lived happily ever after. The end.